So we're talking about the buy side. So Marcus, we should start with you because you're the actual buyer, and get a point of view from you around your kind of stack, how you work with agencies, consultancies, tech vendors. Are you doing more yourself? What's your kind of point of view on the landscape?
So my personal point of view about this kind of like a programmatic consolidation and convergence in terms of data and agency organization structure, is like we started the programmatic as with a full of complexity, and then we showed some requirements and needs from the marketing organization in advertiser side that like I want to see some like harder metrics like how we can measure the sales or e-commerce data or transactions or credit card transactions. So the thing is what you've seen is the vendors like who is providing soft metrics need to be will face some kind of like a midlife crisis in ad technologies or programmatic. So the thing is we see we do work closely with agency trading desk and AORs. And then what we also have seen in convergence and consolidation point of view is full stack solution. What we run through the agency partners or technology partner like a Google or Adobe or Oracle. So after we plug in our analytics wings into the programmatic, and then analytics guys want to see more like granular data and a single point of view about programmatic operation or precision marketing. So that is our some needs state from the advertiser side to see like this kind of like end-to-end and analytics and through the single view on programmatic and operation.
Right, so Sanjit, you also represent quite a lot of marketers. And are you seeing the same thing where marketers want to have more transparency around what you're spending, where you're spending it, and really understanding who their customer is in more detail?
Yeah, definitely. And we are big believers in that at Mindshare and certainly at a Group M level as well. And that's the reason why you've seen the emergence of M platform come into the fore. And I do believe through M platform, the disclosure, transparency issue gets sorted pretty quickly because to me it's a world-class product. Marrying data, tech, and expertise in one sort of combined forum, using tech and expertise to the core. And likewise, even the open desks that we run for Unilever or for HSBC, etc., are 100% transparent. And we do believe the future of the industry is in revealing all costs to the marketer because the source of the budget comes from there. And consolidation of tech is a big argument on our side because you guys talk about the walled gardens. We don't see them as walled gardens. We see them as deterrents to open democratic web through Facebook and Google. And we do not think marketers are savvy enough and to understand that they're playing into the hands of two companies which are not revealing the single source of truth. And we want to rival that. They are big partners of ours, but I think they need to open their box a little bit.
On that point about the savviness of marketers, the education they get predominantly in this region comes from Google and Facebook, particularly when it comes to digital, right? Like what you learn about how to do digital is really what you learn from Google and Facebook. So how do we as an industry, or how are you guys addressing that? Do you have a point of view on providing an alternative education platform as well as more transparency to what people are buying through your platforms?
Yes, definitely. So we've actually invested since the last 5 years in a platform called the New Marketing Institute. It's a standalone education arm of Media Math. We've trained 10,000 people globally and just over 1,000 people in the last 1 year in the APAC region. And this is essentially helping marketers and their agents understand how to focus on business outcomes that are truly relevant to them. Not some interim media metric that may or may not be relevant to their business, but like truly get them to focus on outcomes. Don't get confused by the plethora of terms and just so many different types of technologies. And in our view, the technology handshakes that need to happen to enable great marketing need to be invisible. It shouldn't be front of mind for the marketer. They need to focus on themselves, their business, their outcomes. And our investment in NMI is essentially, one step towards that.
We also have a standalone product as well that it's our one's called Trading Academy. One of the things that we're trying to do is to make sure that we don't bring too much of our own tech, we don't bring too much of our own bias into this education. There is a sort of mirror side to that as well, where it's really a matter of working on the partnerships with the agencies and being able to go and get the opportunity to get in front of the client or get in front of the buying teams inside the media brand agencies, and be able to sort of increase the amount of education, and to be able to increase the depth of that education, and to be able to increase the frequency of that education. And those are the things that we're trying to work on the most.
Is it something that people make time for? And obviously you're mostly targeted at agencies, right? So your training academy is built for agencies and marketers?
It's built for both.
Right, okay. Is it something that you, and you Marcus as well, like, do you make time for your teams to train and develop their expertise around, to your point, Rahul, outcomes, like business outcomes? Because the other challenge we have, obviously, is not just the savviness around programmatic or what data-driven marketing and beyond advertising. It's also about what are the outcomes you're actually trying to achieve, right? So even defining lifetime value for a lot of marketers is actually quite challenging. So do you coach around that as well?
Definitely. A lot of focus that we spend in NMI, there's one course called Programmatic 101, but there's also a Digital 101. Surprisingly, people haven't, got to that stage yet, where they're able to differentiate between the two, programmatic being a better way of doing your digital marketing. And the metrics that I think all of us have grown up with for the last 10, 15 years have been designed to suit a few, rather than actually focus on the client's business outcome. So getting the clients to focus more on ROI-based metrics. I mean, even for FMCGs, we are seeing now the goal is to understand true attribution down at a store level, every consumer, down to an SKU level, what are they actually purchasing, rather than relying on broad GRP metrics and, okay, I delivered reach, don't know what happened after that. So critical part of focus, both for NMI, for us in general, the agency partners that we work with. I think that's the common refrain that we hear.
Yep. I'll just chip in on this. I think we are being slightly unfair to Google.
We're not being unfair to Robbie, though.
It rarely comes from me, so it's. I think Google has one of the most robust training programs in the world, and.
In Squared, do you mean?
Not only Squared, but their online programs as well, I think, are fairly robust, and they talk about a holistic view of digital. I've been through some of the digital content on programmatic, etc., and I think there's no bias there at all in terms of promoting their own products or services at all. So I think we should definitely embrace not only Media Math and the Trade Desk training programs, but look at Google as well. And I see Robbie smiling here. He's my ex-boss, so I need to be kind to him. Robbie, no more Google bashing. So we, from an agency perspective, I think we are, just like Rahul mentioned, we need to differentiate between outputs and outcomes. And a lot of time, ROI is measured by media outputs, like GRPs or reach and frequency. These are just outputs. They have no connection to a business outcome. I think that differentiation is key at Mindshare, and we try and promote and all kinds of trainings that reveal that truth about business outcomes and train our people. And we have a fairly robust program. There's a Group M University globally, which is, I think, unparalleled in terms of content it carries. And all our agencies work through that system. And it's a mandate for most of the people at Mindshare to be trained on search, to be trained on programmatic and all forms of digital before they touch a client business.
Marcus, has your version of what defines success changed? And the type of metrics you look at, what you're looking for out of digital and programmatic?
So still, for the company like us, like FMCG advertisers, are actually still need to get trained and educated for the more than what we currently have in our organization. So the thing is, key point on advertiser side, they still need to be get aligned with all the key stakeholders in-house, internal key stakeholders, and then keep educating them to be on the same page when we talk about anything about strategy on the programmatic or precision marketing, how we can activate our data, connect the data into our internal organization. So the thing is, the advanced analytics team or this kind of a media buying team is collaborating with very closely with the agency team to build up the kind of the programmatic playbook to raise the bar from the bottom, and then also a brand team or marketing team, also for the supply chain team need to be involved in this kind of conversation to be aware about, okay, this is data points we can use for amplifying through the media or sales channel, even for the e-commerce in the future, I think. So the education is continuous education is the key for the organization. Not for that. There might be some of the very professional people who is expert in programmatic, but most of the people in the organization is need to be get trained more. So they for the consultancy part is we also need to see some getting the consultancy from external partners, to see the neutral point of view on our data strategy or operational framework, and also for the transparency, how we can position ourselves with our agency partner to see the in-house model or hybrid model, which is the most best practical form for the entire advertiser or organization.
So would you say that you use consultancies for strategy, agencies for execution, and then you want to have a single view at your own within the company as well, so you own all the data?
Yeah, but consultancy part is actually agency partner is one of the greatest consulting team. They can consult us because they knows most of everything in the execution level on operation model level. But the thing what organizers want to see from the external consultancy, consulting firms or advisor is to how we can build a very high level strategy on the data or activation, or how we can build a partnership so they can give us some guideline or some practical part of programmatic operation or precision marketing piece to of course we have to get aligned with our agency wings, because we can't just operating our programmatic or precision marketing without an agency partner or ad tech partner. So the consultancy firm is for more about a hot top line view about the overall strategy, corporate level, and then for the campaign or the annual programmatic strategy or precision marketing strategy, we put more weight on the agency partners.
What about you, Sanjit, with other clients you work with? Are you seeing them shift towards consultancies versus agencies? Are you threatened by consultancies? We see Accenture doing a lot in the media buying space these days. Are you seeing any difference to your business as a result of that?
So firstly, we are not threatened by consultancies at all. They have little understanding of the operational aspects of running digital businesses. They sit 50,000 feet above reality, and we've seen that in some of the inputs that they give to our large global businesses. Telling a client to do automation of marketing services and charging them $3 million is not rocket science. Right? I can ask my daughter to do that, and she can tell the same thing to Unilever or whoever else. But the reality is that these people have no understanding of the operational aspects, the one view of the consumer. They charge a bomb and deliver little value, in my view. They also don't understand that relevance and data are interconnected. They don't understand that automation brings speed. They talk in terms which are unrealistic. So no threat at all. I do believe there is room for agencies to go forward and grab that space and bring it back to understand the overall marketing channels and live across digital and the outdoor world and the television world together. So so while they can keep talking to whoever, I have no concerns with Accenture or McKinsey or whoever, but they need to live in a space which belongs to them. We have our own part to play in this ecosystem, and I don't think we will let go of this space.
Do you see, though, marketers looking at things differently from, like, talking about the single view of the customer? Obviously, I work for a tech vendor, so I talk a lot to customers about connecting their data sets right across the organisation, not just for marketing and advertising. And so really connecting those data sets together and understanding who their customer is and serving content into those micro moments, whether that's using advertising or any other means, or that through owned media, owned channels, nurturing channels, etc. So do you see a difference in how people are approaching working with you as DSPs or with you as an agency in terms of what they want to know, the data they want to have access to in terms of those digital signals, digital body language, etc.?
I think that the more sophisticated marketers are definitely wanting to take more control.
I know you're looking at me, Matt. Thank you.
I am looking at you, and you are one of those sophisticated marketers. The most sophisticated clients, I think they want to take more control. They want to be able to see inside the tools. I think that it's a mistake for people to sort of not take the servicing that the agency has to offer. And I think that we've been down this road before. And search, I think, gives us the lesson and shows us where things are likely to go. Specialist agencies pop up, people in-house, and then a few years later it all sits back inside the agency again. And the reason for me is a numerical one, that there just isn't the amount of talent that can be dispersed into every single. So if the Fortune 500 each want one person, that's 500 people. And if you're trying to do that in every major city, you're already starting to talk about thousands of people. And frankly, we'd be hard pressed to have 1,000 people who across the entire Asia Pacific region who can independently run campaigns. So for me, I think that the future's reasonably clear, that the agency is needed to be those centres of excellence, and that that shouldn't discourage us from having the client be more empowered than they've ever been before, and having them have a greater access to understand exactly where their dollars are going, and if they're taking control of their data in a responsible and real way, they're going to need to be able to see how they're going to be able to do things to get that creativity and really be able to, take their business processes, their business goals, and to be able to apply them through the software.
So we're definitely seeing some very exciting examples of clients trying to integrate their paid media activation, which they would do through platforms like ours, and their earned channels or their own channels. So integrating their, Oracle, Eloqua, or their IBM, T-Leaf, Silverpop integrations, and trying to communicate to those while keeping in view what their external paid media activation looks like is definitely happening. We are seeing sophisticated marketers having already started doing it for the last maybe 6 months to 1 year in the US, and starting off to do that. Like, the conversations are very much happening in this region as well. One very interesting client example came to us and said, can you give us a reverse signal to tell us who this user is, so that we can actually start our site optimization according to what you define as this user based on all the media interactions you've seen with that user. So there are many more such examples coming up. People are definitely going to put paid, owned, and earned together. Now they have the tools to do it. And I think companies such as Oracle, such as IBM are taking a stake in that game as well, and it's great for the marketer.
Were you going to say something?
Yeah, to me, the in-housing element is a curious one, because I think what you need to define is what you stand for as a company. If you're known to be producing sanitary napkins, or telephones, or soup products, then that's what you need to know yourself about, right? That's the culture of the company. That's what you stand for. Why are you getting into programmatic operations and hiring people to do things which others can do on your behalf? Then why don't you become a programmatic company and leave your products behind? Your people should be investing in building products that your company stands for. Your team should be building R&D for the consumers that you want to deliver those products to. I think you're completely lost in that value chain if you're doing, just like Matt mentioned. You're bringing people in, you're spoiling their careers because they have no future. What will a programmatic trader do in a FMCG company in the next 5 years?
I don't think that they're doing programmatic. What they're doing is getting to know their customer, right?
Depends.
No.
Depends.
We live in a customer-driven world, right? The customer is in control, and if you as a marketer don't understand who your customer is, and you don't have the ability to interact with that customer in the moments that matter to them, then you won't be a company anymore. You won't be selling sanitary napkins
Fair
anymore.
enough.
But the
Understanding of
execution
consumer
of
is different,
programmatic, the execution of
Understanding.
programmatic will always happen with the agencies, I think.
Sure.
Like Matt said.
And there's also
You
a
need-
difference
Not
between
everywhere.
that and analytics, and I think that the
Yeah.
analytics stuff increasingly should sit with the client,
Yeah.
and the client, the agency shouldn't be the only people who have insights.
No,
Absolutely
exactly.
not. I'm not disagreeing. Let
The
me
data,
correct
the
myself.
client needs to have control of the data.
Insights, understanding of the consumer needs to sit with the client.
Yeah.
Data needs to sit with the client.
Yes.
Operations
The
don't need to
execution-
sit
no,
with the client.
no, I
That's
agree.
all I'm saying.
We
Yep.
all agree with that. I think
Completely
Matt
agree.
said that, and we all agree with that.
Thank you, Wendy.
And I think that
I could just see her ready to pounce on you when you were giving your answer before. So.
Matt, your contract is up for renewal pretty soon, mate.
Yeah, I'll be quiet now.
breaking all the rules this morning. So, do you think ad tech is becoming commoditized?
It can't help but to become somewhat commoditized. I mean, you know, the difference is it becoming commoditized or is it becoming fungible? And
Sorry, what did you say?
okay, fungible is a term that talks about everything being the same. So in the oil industry, when oil is delivered to a particular petrol station, it's what's called fungible oil. It's exactly the same no matter where it goes, and then when it gets to the forecourt, they add the additives which make that petrol, you know, BP or whatever. So, yeah, are we becoming that there's going to be less vendors? Yes, I'm fairly sure that that's going to be the case. But is it all going to be the same? I very much doubt it. I mean, we're all adding similar features all the time. We've all got minimums that we have to do, but I think that the ad tech players that exist at the moment see the world in fairly different ways, and the product that they're building is a reflection of those worldviews. And I don't see those worldviews becoming combined anytime soon.
So, sorry.
Absolutely. I think there's a base level of quality expectation from every marketer on every platform that they interact with. Without that, without being able to, for example, interact with an SSP and bid and buy inventory, then what's the point of being in this space, right? So there's some fundamental level that is expected. But the bleeding edge of technology that some of us are operating at are truly differentiating it from the rest of small point solutions that might be developing a good solution but in one very niche area. And marketers are demanding more, and it takes a certain amount of scale to be at that cutting edge of innovation, and it's hard to replicate.
Yeah, I totally agree that its scale is the thing that means that it's with people who are late to the party are going to have a huge problem in getting that QPS.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Having said that, then, there's a lot of complexity to figuring out who's the best solution and what's the best stack for your business. And, Matt, you just said we all have a different worldview, so we're developing in different directions. How does Marcus then, and Marcus reads the trade press, no offence to all the wonderful journalists here, and, they're talking about brand safety and viewability, and one of your employees in Australia obviously, publishes tests about who the best DSP is, and there's so much noise. How does Marcus figure out whether he should even do this and how he should execute and which partners make sense? Like, what worries you? What keeps you up at night, Marcus, when you hear all of that?
Complexity of the programmatic is still like when we talk about ad viewability, brand safety, or those kind of all the technology we can measure through the DSPs or ad tech partner. So we actually the thing is, like, we are seeing this kind of like all the different type of ad technologies need to be standardized, and then need to be also like plug into our campaigns or operation level. So the thing is, I think agency partner has more responsibility to deliver this kind of like proper advertising solutions or technologies, or even for the DMP. Agency is one of the biggest role in to interact with advertisers to recommending what kind of tools or ad technology we have to implement on our every single campaigns, in not only for the market level, as all the regional level as well. So the setting up the benchmark for the, because MRC or like ANA released all the like beautiful benchmark for the entire across the world. But the thing is, like J&J or like FMCG clients need to be set their own K benchmark by, which is supported by the agency partners, to do some kind of stress test on every single campaigns, and then build up our own capabilities and our own benchmark for the like transactional campaign or brand awareness campaign. So that is one of the core things from the marketer point of view. Maybe Sanchit can add
So
something.
then how do you decide, Sanjit, which tools are the best partners for what you want to execute on behalf of the client?
Yeah, so first we are fairly agnostic to tech, because we believe we as an agency are a services layer on top, and if client has a certain alignment to a certain tech that they want to align to, we don't want to disrupt that and change that opinion. We do have our understanding of different technology partners, because we work across categories, across a slew of clients, and we give recommendations, but that's all. That's where we stop, saying we would recommend you use this DSP or this analytics company or this stack, but it's entirely up to you, Mr. Client, to decide who you want to choose. And
Do you tell them what the benefits of each one is,
Yeah,
and why
absolutely.
you're recommending them?
Absolutely. So when we recommend a certain tech, we give rationale behind it. We talk
It's
about
not
our
because
experiences.
you get money in the back door for recommending them?
Yeah, that's the consultancy job, not an agency role. So we do give a neutral point of view, and if they want to go with Google or any other Adobe or whoever else, we don't have an opinion on that, and we want to stick to that claim that we are tech agnostic. We have our own products that we propose. If they don't want to use it, it's completely up to them.
But to Matt's point around each DSP has a different worldview and a different kind of direction that they're developing towards. How do you know that's the direction we want to go in for that client?
So the direction comes jointly between the client and the agency. I think the client has a broader business to run, not only a media business, and we are aware of that fact, and we work with them to understand what their larger outcomes are, and where their tech is going, where their data is going in the longer run. And then we say, okay, we believe this will be the right tech to use, considering this is the goal you're chasing. And that's where we stop. And of course, we have a deep understanding of partners who are on this stage and what they do and how their roadmaps are. And we put that transparently in front of our clients, saying this is what this tech is planning to do in the next few months or next few years. And if you want to move or if you want to stay, it's completely up to you.
I mean, I concur with Sanchit. Given the explosion of the number of technologies that people now have to contend with in creating the right, programmatic experience end to end for a brand, there is a need now for someone who's going to curate the right set of experiences and curate that ecosystem for brands who focus on creating whatever products that they create, which is not ad tech. And agencies play that role remarkably well, because they understand not only the brand story, but they've spent the last how many years building relationships with the media, understanding what has worked and what has not worked, and to be able to tie things end to end together. So I mean, the agencies play that role. There are maybe 500 companies in the ad tech space. Piecing together the right, putting that puzzle together for the client is a critical role that they play. Maybe just one point on the consultancies, that if you take that view out from ad tech to martech, there are 5,000 companies in martech, and that's where the consultancies come in from, where they say, like, which of these 5,000 companies are you going to choose? It's scary, and that's kind of like the angle that the consultancies seem to be taking. But the agencies operating deep in the media space, understanding the brands end to end. At least in this space, the agents play that role, and they do it really well.